Your butt or your glutes are actually made up of multiple muscles, starting first with the largest muscle, which is the gluteus maximus. And the shape of your butt is largely determined by this muscle. It's also very important for lower body power output, especially in movements in which you extend the hip joint, like for example when you stand up or jump up. Moving a little higher up and off to the side, you have your gluteus medius, which does assist with extending the hip, but it's also a powerful hip abductor, which allows you to raise your leg up to the side and stabilizes your hip as you walk. You also have your gluteus minimus, which helps with hip abduction as well, but it's mostly invisible because it lies under the gluteus maximus. Now, to develop nicer, well-rounded glutes, we're going to want to perform exercises that target these muscles effectively. So today I want to give you guys the 9 best glute exercises that you can do right at home to develop a nicer butt. Starting first with glute step-ups. Now, there is a major difference between regular step-ups and these step-ups that target more of your glutes. First, you're going to want to find some kind of platform to step up on that's preferably around knee level. At home, this could be a chair, some stairs, or even a couch. Then you're going to stand facing forward and you're going to plant one foot on top of that platform. From here, with regular step-ups, we would just kick off with the back foot and extend our front leg until we're at the top of the platform. Even though this is effective, a far more effective way to challenge the glutes is by first lifting your toes off the ground and keeping them pointed up towards the ceiling before stepping up. What this does is it prevents you from being able to kick off that back leg, so it takes your back calf out of the movement and puts more emphasis on that front glute. It also makes the exercise significantly harder to where even 10 reps without weights will be plenty challenging for most people. And by the way, I'll be going over the proper sets and reps to create a glute workout from these exercises at the end of the video. But once you're at the top, there's no need to plant your other foot on the platform. Instead, simply slowly lower back down and repeat for reps before switching sides. Next, we have lunge kickbacks, but once again, we're going to be doing them a little differently because we want to start with our hip in a flex position to increase glute activation and slightly increase our range of motion. So for this one, you're going to want a shorter platform that's about midway up your shins. Once again, you can use stairs or simply stack some books or some other objects in your house. Start by facing forward, standing about 2 to 3 feet away from the platform, and plant one of your feet on that platform in front of you. When you're planting your foot, you want to make sure that you maintain hip distance for the width of your stance. Don't make the common mistake of trying to keep your feet in a straight line and almost overlapping them, because not only will it obviously make it harder to balance, but it's also simply bad form. Another thing to keep in mind is that you don't want your back foot too close to the platform. You'll know that you're making this mistake if when you go down for your lunge, you create more of a triangle shape in between your legs rather than a rectangular shape. So make sure you create enough space between your front and back foot, and then lower yourself down for a lunge by dropping your back knee towards the ground while bending your front knee at the same time. Hold it at the bottom position for a second, and while doing that, you should feel a nice stretch in your front hamstring and glute. Then extend both legs until you're back up in the standing position and lift your back foot off the ground as you kick your leg back and squeeze that glute. Then bring your back foot back to the ground and repeat all your reps on one side before switching back to the other. Next up, we have squats, but I want you to do a few things to make them more challenging. First off, if you have a book bag that you could fill with heavy objects and throw on your back, I recommend doing that because it'll help challenge those powerful glute muscles much more. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to not come all the way back up and lock out at the top. This is going to force you to keep constant tension on your glutes and your legs as well. So to begin, you'll start by spreading your feet a little wider than shoulder width apart and slightly rotate your feet outward. Raise your arms straight in front of your body and hold them there to help with balance. Alternatively, you can also keep your arms bent in front of your body in a prayer position. Before beginning, make sure that your chest is up, pointing straight ahead, and that you're maintaining a nice neutral curve in your spine. Then drive your hips back, bend your knees, and lower yourself down nice and slowly, trying to aim for a 3-second count down. As you do that, you want to make sure that you're not too far up on your toes, because that'll put a lot of pressure on your knees, and you shouldn't be too far back on your heels either. Your weight should be over the middle of your foot. Squat down until your hips are either parallel with your knees, or you can go under parallel for deep squats if it doesn't bother your knees and hips to go that low. Then from there, drive through the middle of your foot, extend your knees, and come back up. But stop right when you get to about 60 to 70% of full lockout. And from there, go right into the next squat and repeat for reps. So now let's move on to an exercise that targets more of the gluteus medius instead of the gluteus maximus. Isometric hip abductors. Here you'll start by once again getting into a squat position. So hold your arms up, spread your legs a little wider than shoulder width, drive your hips back, bend your knees, and lower yourself down until your thighs are about parallel from the ground. From there, you want to hold that position as you flare both your knees out, then squeeze your glutes for a second before bringing your knees back in. Then repeat back and forth for reps. And I promise you, this one will definitely get your glutes and your legs burning. Now, if you happen to have some resistance band that you could wrap around your knees, that would make this exercise even more effective. However, if you don't, it's still a very effective exercise for the glutes without it. Next, let's move on to another great exercise for the gluteus medius, lateral lunges. Not only will they help you work your glutes, but they'll also hit your quads, hamstrings, and your inner thighs. To begin, you'll stand straight up with your arms bent and your hands together in front of your chest in a prayer position. Then take a big step out to one side and lower down into a side lunge by shifting your hips back and sinking down while bending your knee. While you're doing this, your other leg should be straight and your chest should be up, not dropping down. Now, it's very important that you avoid the common mistake of pointing your foot to the side in the direction that you're lunging in. This is not only bad form, but it can also lead to a knee injury. So the entire time you want to keep both feet pointed forward, and you want to imagine almost like you're doing a squat on one leg while the other leg stays straight for support. Because just like in a squat, you still want to keep your knee over the line of your second toe as you bend it and lower yourself down. So now from that position, you're simply going to push off the ground, extend your leg, and bring your lunging foot back to the other one. Then repeat for reps and finish one side before moving on to the other. Next up, we have bridges, but once again, we're making some modifications. The problem with doing regular bridges with your body weight is that you won't stimulate your glutes enough because they're very powerful in this position. So of course you can fill a book bag with heavy objects and put it over your hips as you bridge up, but even so, you're probably not going to be able to get the weight heavy enough to make this really challenging for the glutes. So to make this effective, you're going to want to do one leg at a time and preferably use a heavy object as well. But if you don't have one, this can still work just fine. To start, you'll lay on your back with your hands out to the sides, flat on the ground for support. Next, stack your weight on top of your hips and support it from underneath with your hands. Then you're going to bend one knee and plant that foot on the ground as you take your opposite ankle and cross it over your bent knee. Then hinge your hips up as you drive your foot into the ground and hold it there for a second and squeeze your glutes before slowly lowering down and repeating for reps. Now, if you want to throw in some hamstring and make the exercise tougher in general without using weights, you can perform the exercise with your foot on a paper plate or a valve slide. And the difference is that at the beginning, you're going to start with your leg extended rather than bent, and you're going to curl it in, bridge up, and extend it back out with each rep. As you curl in, you want to make sure that your hip is slightly off the ground to make it harder to slide your foot up. If you don't have something heavy to put on your hips, or if you want to simply try something new, feel free to give it a shot. Next, we have Bulgarian split squats. So for this one, you'll once again want a platform that's about knee height, and you want to stand about 2 to 3 feet in front of that platform. Then raise one foot up off the ground, bring it back, and plant your ankle and the top portion of your foot flat on the platform behind you. Once again, you want to make sure that you maintain hip distance between your feet. They should not be in a straight line. And you want your front foot far enough away from your back foot to create a proper lunge. Now lower yourself down as low as you can go to get a really nice stretch in that front glute and hamstring as well as your back hip flexor. Then simply extend your legs and press yourself back up to the starting position and repeat that for reps. Moving on, we have another excellent exercise for the gluteus medius known as frog pumps. Now, this looks very similar to regular glute bridges, but there's a lot more abduction of the hips involved, which brings the gluteus medius into the movement much more. While you can do these on the ground, if you happen to have a platform that you could lay your upper body on, like a bench or a sturdy box or a chair, it'll help give you a greater range of motion. So you're gonna lay with your upper back on the platform, and then instead of having your knees bent with your feet planted flat on the ground, you're gonna have your knees bent with the bottoms of your feet touching together in what looks like a butterfly position. Then simply bridge up, squeeze your glutes at the top, and slowly lower back down before repeating for reps. Keep in mind that with this exercise, you can also put something heavy on your hips to make it more challenging. Otherwise, you'll probably have to go for a higher rep count. Now, the last exercise that you can use as a warm-up or to finish off your glutes at the end is a combination of the donkey kick and the fire hydrant. Both of these exercises help you hit your gluteus maximus and your gluteus medius. Resistance bands can help make both of these exercises much more effective, and I would recommend that you do the kickback and the fire hydrant separately if you have a resistance band. But if you don't, you can do it this way as well. So you're gonna start by getting down on all fours with your hips and your spine in a neutral position. Keep your core tight and don't allow your lower back to round downward throughout the movement. Then extend your hip and drive your foot back and up towards the ceiling. At the top, really squeeze your glute for a second and then lower back down. But you're only gonna lower about halfway down before coming back up and squeezing once again. You're gonna repeat this 3 times, and then you're gonna move into 3 reps of the fire hydrants. For fire hydrants, instead of kicking your leg back, you're gonna be raising it out to your side, then lowering back down and repeating for reps. Do 3 of each exercise and go back and forth between each. So now on the screen, you'll see my recommended rep ranges for each of the exercises. You can screenshot it, just keep in mind that depending on your current level, you may have to do less reps if you're a beginner or more reps if you're advanced. After completing all 9 of these exercises, I recommend that you take a 2 to 3 minute break and then go back to the first one and repeat all 9 once again. You can do this 2 to 3 rounds total to get a great bodyweight glute workout in. That about wraps it up, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. Also, if you're really serious about hitting your body transformation goals in the shortest amount of time possible, and you want to take part in one of my programs where on average my clients are either losing 20 pounds or 5% of their body fat in just 42 days while packing on lean muscle, then visit my website. With our programs, you'll get a full workout plan that comes with an in-gym and an at-home version as well, and a full video exercise library for each. You'll also get a diet plan based on your body, a recipe book, and you'll get an accountability coach to guide you through the entire process. To apply for one of these challenges, you can click the link below, or you can just visit my website directly at gravitytransformation.com. I'll see you guys soon.